sometimes it just feels right. Possessed by the moonlight.
So we're wrapping up at the end of the year, so there's going to be a bunch of lists coming out from a bunch of people talking about their favorite products of the year. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I think there's a lot of stuff that I reviewed this year that are just phenomenal products that really deserve to be mentioned again, and a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed using. I'm going to open this up though to all the products that I've reviewed in 2020, not just products that were made in 2020, if that makes any sense. If this is computer hardware or something like that, I don't think that would work, mostly because that industry moves really, really fast, whereas hi-fi actually moves pretty slow. But we're going to be talking about my favorite hi-fi products that I reviewed in 2020. Let's get started. So my favorite review that I did, like the actual process of it, is a split between the HE1, the Orpheus, that was very cool, and the Abyss AB1266. Mostly because I got to go to locations and film in different environments and meet a lot of really cool people along the way. And I had a great time doing both of those reviews. And then on top of that, you get to listen to the best headphones on the planet. Like, there's nothing to dislike about it, really. There's so much information to gather from those headphones. They sound phenomenal, but they actually have very different takes in comparison between the two. The 1266 is specific. It's like hyper analytical beyond anything, actually. Anything that I've tried. That is the most analytical, precision-based headphone. I think I said in the review something along the lines of like, it sounded like if machines and industrial equipment were to produce sound, this is what it would sound like. And it was a big compliment. I meant it. Then you have the HE1, which takes a different take of not being an analytically based headphone, but instead being a tonal and enjoyable based headphone. Both are enjoyable, both are awesome, but for very different reasons. And the products were fun to review, but it was the process of the review that I considered the most fun. In 2020, I started using Tidal, and Tidal, for me, I've gone between Spotify, I messed around with Qobuz a little bit, Fubar, even Amazon Music. I like the interface of Tidal the most. I don't know why. There's something that attracts me to it a lot. Spotify is close behind, but I've really just enjoyed using Tidal quite a bit. I've done a review of Tidal actually, and I'll link all the reviews and all the products that I talk about in the description down below. But that was probably the biggest software that I enjoyed using the most. It also works really well with the components that I have here, like the Apple TV and stuff. It's like a seamless system with that. The A8000 was one of the first higher end IEMs that I ever reviewed, and I thought it was awesome. I still do. Still use it all the time. The A4000 is a budget sort of related product to that, and it's like $150. And for $150, that thing has really impressive soundstage and is awesome. It's really cool. It's cool to see the brands giving products to people for cheaper and cheaper, and they're doing the flagship thing properly, which is what you should do, which is make a flagship, draws a lot of attention. You get to spend a lot on research and development, and you make that money up in the cost of the IEM. And then you take that technology and you trickle it down into lower priced products. That's exactly how that system should work. Not every company does that, but Final did it, and it resulted in something pretty spectacular. Daily drivers for me between IEMs. Actually, I'll show you something really quick. So this was, I don't know if it was Zeos's idea, but it's where I saw it. This is a watch case, and I just put all my IEMs in there. It was his idea, so I want to give credit where credit is due. But this thing was like 16 bucks, and it looks nice, and keeps everything organized. Now for daily drivers, I switch between two. I do the Empire Ears Odin and the Fur M5s. Sort of different sound signatures. M5 is a little bit more analytical. The Odin's a little bit more pleasing, but they're undeniably fantastic IEMs. Like both of them are crazy good. Like definitely deserving of being the top of the line. They're awesome. I think one of the things that I learned this year about IEMS is I think they're actually dominant for sound quality of all headphone products. So full-size headphones, on-ear headphones, IEMs, all that stuff. I think that for sound quality, they're really dominant from like $0 to $100. I think if you're like $100 and below, I think the best sounding product that you can get is probably an IEM. And that's for a couple of reasons. There's so many options and so many hi-fi products that are really, really, really well tuned, and they have really good drivers in them that are incredibly clear, and you can really find something. It just comes down to options and the willingness for the companies to make something that sounds great for really, really cheap. Now, speaking of full-size headphones, there were a lot that were really, really cool. We'll start with some expensive ones. The HE1000 SE, not a 2020 product, but reviewed in 2020, and that headphone is really good. Very specific analytical sound signature, but with fun in the low end. It's kind of a sort of almost a V-shaped planar, and it's got this full analytical, pretty tonally pleasing sound signature matched with a fair bit of fun, whilst being kind of that hyper detailed sound signature that I think a lot of people are looking for. So that headphone was very good. That kind of started me on a journey of hyper detailed headphones, actually, because shortly after that, I reviewed the Diana Phi, and then the V2, and then the 1266, and all of those are certainly worth this list. Now, for some cheaper end stuff, the HD 560S was, for lack of a better term, spectacular. It was awesome. That probably is going to be a legitimate contender. Is probably going to make like product of the year for a lot of people's lists. And I think it might deserve to be on that list because that thing is very good for the price. They did, unfortunately, when I reviewed it, it was like 180, I think, 179. And then they bumped it up to like 199. But still, for $200, I think it's more than competitive with the existing 6XX stuff, the 58X. It provides its own sound signature. It's got better sound stage. Really, the only thing that I think that headphone lacked was the bass response didn't quite do it for me. But, that's just me. But overall, the headphone resolution for the price, really that's the key word there is the resolution, was awesome. It was really, really good. Also in the vein of Sennheiser headphones, probably my favorite Sennheiser headphone to come out of this year is the 38X. The 38X combines kind of all my favorite things. It's a warmer Sennheiser, so it's a little bit outside of their house tuning. It's warmer than the typical Sennheiser warmth of the 600 series and the 500 series. It's a little bit stronger bass response than those. The sound staging is really impressive, but it's kind of the fit and the feature set, like the microphone and the dial, that make it really good for me because I use it to game all the time. And it's wonderful as a gaming headphone. It's probably the best gaming headphone short of the HD 800S, I think. Now, for me on this channel, when it comes to perfect products, there are almost none. Very, very few that I consider perfect through and through products that get, a legitimate 10 out of 10 in a perfect way sort of score. For me, that perfect product is the Topping A90. That amplifier is, for my use case, the headphones that I have, the IEMs that I have, it's a literal zero compromises amplifier. And it also has one of the least influential sound signatures of the amps that I've tried, which I think for an amplifier is exactly what I like. It's what I would prefer to have, is something that has no sound signature at all, and it just plays the signal through, and then the headphones take it and do the magical things that headphones do with that signal, and you just get lots of power, lots of drivability, lots of flexibility with its ability to run IEMs, and it's just golden all the way through. So of all the products this year, if there was one that had the least amount of complaints with it, it would be the A90. I think the only complaint that I had is like the volume dial is a little bit hard for me to grab because it's not very deep. But like that's it. That's great. Maybe remote support. I don't know. This is very, very small minor complaints, but like in terms of functionality and what it does, it is flawless. Other things that I've been very happy with that I did review, again, not 2020 products, but products I reviewed in 2020, is the SVS Ultra Towers. Those things are awesome. They're still awesome. I bought them from SVS. I love them. They're daily use in my front room. Couldn't really be happier with them. I changed speakers a lot in every other sense, but those things are here to stay. And they've got their small, minute problems, but I think the biggest thing with those is I am impressed by the sound signature every time I listen to them. And until the impressiveness of the sound signature for me ends, I'm totally happy with them. Okay, moving on to the future, outlooking. This year has been a great year. It's probably been the best single year for my channel, I think. It's been wonderful. Thank you all for helping that happen. I think the future is bright for a lot of hi-fi. The world's going crazy. It's kind of on fire right now, but I think these companies are starting to get to a place where better and better products are being offered at lower and lower prices. And I think all we have to really look forward to is positivity for every product in the future. Things are getting more refined than ever, and they're getting more refined faster than ever. Right now, I'm really excited what companies are going to be able to do with certain driver technologies that are coming out for headphones. And things like the Meze headphone, which has kind of an alternative playing on a magnetic driver, the headphone, HEDD headphone with the folded ribbon. That stuff, I think it's going to start playing a bigger role in these companies moving forward. And that stuff I'm really excited about. I'm also excited about what companies are going to be able to do with the amplifiers, even though I kind of feel like we're getting to kind of a turning point where the sound isn't going to get much better. And if it is, it's going to have to be something that is intended to have its own sound signature. So maybe that could be kind of cool, but we'll see where that leads down the road. There is a number of softwares on the horizon that are going to do wonders for music, potentially. I'm sure something will hit the mark eventually. And that stuff is going to be fascinating. So for reviews, this year's been a great year. It's been an awesome year. And I think 2021 is going to be even better. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.